Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping and Paul Felder.
How we doing, Paul?
Feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I just got my pump on, dude. Just getting my weightlifting on, getting my strength on.
Geez, Paul Felder's lifting weights as well. My God. Running triathletes, swimming all over the place.
Wow.
People loving you on the podcast, taking over. Jesus Christ. And now you're lifting weights as well.
They're not ready for 2025 lifting weights, new hip Paul Felder. You know what I mean? And I don't mean hip. I don't mean hip like hip, Michael. I mean literally.
Oh.
Hip.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Brian, maybe you can see it on my Instagram. I was just doing power slap last weekend before the fight. So don't worry, we're going to get into all the stuff at UFC 313 in just a second. I went to the weight gym this morning, lifted weights, but I had to do legs only. I had to do a lot of squats this morning because I was arm wrestling this guy on power slap just for a laugh. He's 417 pounds. He squats 780 pounds. And when he sat down for us to speak to him, I shook his hand. And it was the biggest, most gigantic hand you have ever seen in your life. So check this out here. He just makes a total dick out of me. 417 pounds. Look at the size of these hands. What do you squat?
780.
780 pounds.
What do you squat, Mike?
He pulls me out the seat. Watch this, watch. Take the strain.
I don't know. Mike, you're cheating. Up. Here we go. Come on, Mike.
Look at this fucking thing, though. Look at that. Let's go.
Okay, here we go. Ready, set, go.
And embarrass myself. Okay.
Hey.
And that was it. And today,
You gave it a good go, man.
I can't straighten my arm. I was laid in bed last night, and I'm like, what is going on with my arm? And I'm like, oh, it's because I was arm wrestling like a total dickhead.
You thought you were going to adjust. What's the movie with Stallone? You're going to just break the dude's arm off. What's that movie
Over the top.
called? Over the Top.
Yeah.
I knew you'd know it. I knew.
Yeah, of course. Come on.
Listen. You're going to know it. Yeah.
Any shitty 80s movie, I've got it, buddy.
Yeah.
I've got to show it to Lucas for movie appreciation now. I am going to do that one.
Yeah.
So UFC 313, I was in Vegas. I did the power slap. I flew home Saturday morning, went out for a nice dinner, went to Mastro's, which is a beautiful steakhouse. Just Rebecca and I came back, thought I'd put the fights on.
Apparently not.
It's not a secret. It's all over the internet. I tried to log in and I was panicking. ESPN, it wasn't working. I tried it on 3 different TVs. I tried it on my computer. I tried it on my laptop. I was getting so pissed off.
Different fight pass. We were even trying to get you on my fight pass just to get you the fight.
I know. But anyway, I figured it out eventually, and I did get to watch this. Did get to watch the fights just from when Justin Gaethje was making his walk. So I saw the last 3 fights. Obviously, the first fight on the pay-per-view, didn't really need to see much there. Bobby Green just got wheel kicked to death.
God, dude. That kid. I mean, I had a lot of good things to say about him last week, and we kind of agreed that I think he's just the new thing. I really think that team and just the guys they got there and all their styles was really going to show out. But, oh, holy shit. That's how you make a name in that division right there on that card. When you got Gaethje and Fiziev fighting each other on that card, Fiziev takes an L. You could throw that kid in there with him already. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's ready for those types of challenges, and he showed it. That Bobby Green, I don't even need to be in here with this guy. I'm just going to put him away. And as tough as Bobby is, that was a perfect spinning hook kick, dude. That's money right there.
Well, you probably got the same email as me because we're UFC commentators. The 16th spinning wheel kick knockout, because after any UFC event, we get emails, don't we? Stats and stuff from the
all
UFC.
Different breaking news and stats.
Breaking news,
like
streaks, knockouts and stuff like that. So I got the email, the 16th spinning wheel kick knockout in history. I still think the best one was Edson Barboza versus
Terry Edom, because he went like, but Bobby's wasn't bad either, dude, because he face plants and slides across. Yeah. He slides out.
He slides.
We were just standing there.
The poor guy. Because Bobby's I like Bobby. I mean, he's lost 3 out of his last 4 now, though. I mean, he got He got badly beaten by Jalin Turner, who we'll talk about in a bit. He also got wheel kicked last night, Saturday night. What was the other one as well? Renato Moicano.
And Patty put him out bad with a choke armbar situation.
Yeah.
Pimblett.
Jesus.
So, I mean, he's really had a really rough go. And it just shows you, man, father time, dude.
Yeah, and he's also had about 73,000 fights.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of fights. But the problem is for Bobby, listen, we love Bobby. We love the way he talks shit and his attitude. Hands low. You can't have your hands low like that. I mean, I love it. It's cool as hell when he's doing this shit. But when
not when you got a guy that can kick like that, right? Not when you got a guy that can literally kick taekwondo wheel kicks like that. You've either got to be all the way out. You can't have your foot up against the back of the cage and have no hands up to defend. You're going to get cracked with something like that. So,
yeah. This is the thing as well, like geography inside the octagon is so important. As you mentioned there, if you've got your hands low, if your back's up against the fence, you can't move backwards. I know it sounds so obvious, but a lot of people that don't fight and don't understand the strategies, if you're against the fence, you've got nowhere to go. You can go left and right with your head or your body, but you can't move out the way. So yeah, if you want to be like that and you've got the fast enough feet, you've got to be in the middle of the octagon or at least where that black line is. If you're a striker, as you know, Paul, which we are, that line is where you got to be careful. Because if you're a wrestler, when they get to that black line, that's where they're going to shoot. Because if they shoot, they're going to run you into the fence. Then they're going to pick you up. They're going to put you down. And they're going to go to Pound Town. There was a lot of pounds. Oh, you've been going to Pound Town lately, Paul?
Not really. Pregnant wife. We're trying to get back into that neighborhood, but I'm still just cruising by in the car. I'm just looking at property right now,
haven't really cruising. Window shopping.
Really got in there to make a purchase yet. So
oh shit. Anyway, I didn't mean to. I just a lot of ounds.
Thank God Christine's back upstairs. She was down here for a second ago. She'd be like, "What the are you talking about right now?" Oh, we're talking about a town. Don't worry.
Yeah. Paul's not on the podcast next week. You know why? Is that's it. Christine Bandia.
Yeah. Sorry. No more believe you me.
By the way, we're going to talk about Alex Pereira right now in just a second. But before we do, Paul Felder needs some bits and bobs. Okay. Paul doesn't know what this is. The bits and bobs, the believers send stuff in. I've got a bunch of it in the background. A bit of a tidy up the other day, so you can't see anything right now. But Anthony Smith, he got sent quite a few things. Paul Felder, he needs some bits. He needs some bobs. He needs some accoutrement, some souvenirs of the show. We need
to make this look cooler back here. I'll get a little shelf back here. So some things up here would be beautiful. And they'll be shown off. So it's like if you're given the bits and the bobs, they're going to be seen.
The bits and the bobs will be seen. Anyway, Alex Pereira, let's get into this main event. That's what everyone's hopefully wanting us to talk about. Pereira, Magomed Ankalaev. We picked Ankalaev. Ankalaev's having a bit of fun right now. I don't know if you saw the video that he posted. Yeah, everyone that predicted him to lose, he's kind of throwing it in the faces, and rightly so. Fair play to him. Beats Alex Pereira. I did a YouTube video on it. I said it was a lazy performance by Alex Pereira. It wasn't good. It wasn't aggressive. I didn't see a sense of urgency. I'll get into my bits and bobs, my A's to B's, my further analysis in just a second. But Paul, give me your overall thoughts on the fight.
I thought a lot of what you said is exactly what I thought. And I was getting very frustrated because the dude is so dynamic in close with the way that he can slip and move, even though he keeps his hands slightly low. When he cracks back and counters, he's beautiful. But Ankalaev was not shying away from him, and he was coming to him, which means that the opportunity should have been created for him to do some of his patented moves. The left hook was just not there. He goes to the body, comes up top. He was just relying completely on trying to take his leg away, which we knew could be part of the game plan. But a guy of his experience and his level, I really expected him to be able to pivot a bit when the situation wasn't going, and that wasn't necessarily taking him out of the fight. I mean, it was primarily on the feet. Ankalaev did what he said he was going to do. He said, I'm not afraid to stand with this guy. I'm able to kickbox with this guy if I wanted to just kickbox with this guy. And I just feel like he never really opened up. I thought the same thing. And I was getting I don't want to say mad. I'm not his coach. I'm not, a training partner, but as a fan of the guy and somebody that I like to see perform, I was pissed off, dude. I was sitting there with a couple of buddies and I'm like, he's not opening up. And I don't know if it was because of what was coming back at him, if he felt the power of Ankalaev, if he felt the speed and have issues with it. But I agree. I say this with the utmost respect, and I would expect it said back to me when I was fighting, but I agree that it was a bit lazy and one-sided on his part for a guy that's got dynamite and apparently rocks in those hands. He never let him go.
Listen,
so yeah, just lazy. Lazy, it seemed, man.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, listen, fair play to Pereira. He stopped. I think it was about 11 takedowns. That's great. Stopped all the takedowns. You don't win a fight by stopping takedowns. I didn't see him. It seemed like he just expected the knockout to appear because it usually does. The first round, I'm sorry, was boring as hell, right? Just slapping away with little low kicks. Then after the first round, I think Ankalaev was like, hold on a minute. Because you know what it's like, Paul. You're like, do I deserve to be here? Am I good enough? Is he going to knock me out with every single little shot? Is he going to take my legs from underneath me and brutalize me and I'm not going to be able to walk? Well, he went through 5 minutes. He's like, hold on a minute. No, I do deserve to be here.
Yep.
I am good enough. And I am his size. And I can hurt him as much as he hurts me. And he was backing Pereira up for the most part. And you know, Paul, tell me what you think about this. And unless you fight or have fought, you won't understand this. There's this, I'm trying to think of a funny way of putting it. There's like an unwritten rule. If you're here, that's the two fighters. If one steps forward, the other one steps away. If he steps forward, the other one steps away. You keep this constant distance.
Game.
At no point did Alex Pereira just say, no, I'm staying right here. If you're going to come forward, I'm going to swing. And because Ankalaev was going forward, he was getting backed up, not all of the time, but the majority of the time, taking the bigger shots, getting cracked in the face, almost got dropped at the end of round 2.
Yep.
Listen, Ankalaev's great. He's on a massive win streak. He's now the light heavyweight champion of the world. And he should, apart from 1 second, he would almost be undefeated. So there's no shame. But it was a shitty night at the office for Pereira.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know what was stopping him from standing his ground and trying to throw the big shot because he just didn't. The knees, none of it was there. Like the things, the right head kick and the leg kick. The right head kick I liked because that was coming pretty close and that was powerful and it definitely was getting the attention and occupying the left hand of Ankalaev. But you know as well as I do, to make it really land, it can't just be the kick. He's going to see that. And even though he's got to block it, he's got to deal with it, it's not going to be the knockout shot that he wants. If he then maybe scoops an uppercut or looks like he's going to go to the body with the right hand and mix things up and mix where Ankalaev's hands are going to go, that head kick could have landed. He just never really put it together.
Like with Yuri Prohaska. He was going low. He was going low. Then he went high. Oldest trick in the book. Now, for the record, let's just get into this because when you go online, excuse me, just drinking this element, it's fizzy, but it's delicious, but it makes me burp. So I do apologize, guys. All right, today's episode is sponsored by LMNT. You might have seen me sipping on one of these throughout the show. This is a delicious drink. LMNT is a zero sugar, no artificial colors, no dodgy ingredients drink that is good for you. It's going to keep you full of electrolytes because, look, listen, a lot of people, they're trying to eliminate a lot of crap out of their diet. They're trying to get rid of all the processed foods and stuff like that. And when you're doing that, when you live in a low-carb diet, keto, paleo, whatever you want to call it, when you eradicate junk food, you lose a lot of sodium because according to the FDA, 70% of dietary sodium comes from the processed and the packaged foods. So when you cut out those foods, you lose your main source of sodium. And the truth is, everybody needs electrolytes. So whether you're an active person or just on a low-carb diet, you really need the electrolytes in your body to feel and perform at your best. And dietary sources are usually not enough. That is why LMNT is my go-to electrolyte drink, trusted by many of the world's leading health experts and athletes, including coaches, health practitioners, and teams across professional, collegiate, and high school sports programs. And you're guaranteed to find an LMNT flavor that you're going to love. Try fan favorite citrus salt or raspberry salt. Get spicy with mango chili or mixed chocolate salt into your morning coffee for a mean mocha. And the best part is LMNT have a fantastic offer for you. As I said, 0 sugar, 0 artificial flavors. And right now, when you go to drinklmnt.com/BYM, you get a free sample with any purchase. They taste absolutely delicious, a variety of flavors. So go to drinklmnt.com/BYM to get a free sample pack with any purchase. There's people online calling it a robbery. I don't know if you saw this. People online, Ariel Hawani said that Pereira should have won. Brendan Schaub has done a big video saying that Pereira should have won. Oh, here we go.
If you don't have Alex winning this fight 1, 3, and 5, you ain't shit. You ain't shit Mondays. If you don't have Alex win the third, I'll debate with you. I get it, but I can debate a winning round for Alex. 1 and 5. If you don't have Alex winning 1 and 5, you don't know the fucking sport.
Who won round 5, Paul, in your opinion?
I mean, fuck, I'd have to go back and watch it again to make sure. But in my opinion, I
have a set of balls now.
I did not think Alex Pereira won that fight at all.
So that would mean you thought Ankalaev won round 5.
I guess so. Yeah.
You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know the sport, Paul.
It's so funny when guys, but that's Brandon Schaub, right? He's going to say the most ridiculous shit. And he knows he's going to get a ton of hate either way for it. And he's willing to just put stuff out there like that, which, hey, I'm glad he's committed to it, but that's complete bullshit to say that somebody literally doesn't know the sport in that close of a fight, in a fight where not all that much happened. That's where you're going to lay down the line. And you know what I mean? And make that big of a statement that, well, if you don't think this, you don't know shit.
Well, let me tell you something. There was issues with ESPN, as we talked about, but they made it free for everyone to watch. So I did watch it again last night because I saw all the controversy. So I watched it again very closely.
That's the first thing I'm going to do when I get done here. I didn't know until just recently when we were going to talk about this kind of stuff that was even a thing. I couldn't believe it when I started seeing this trickle out. That shows you what I thought in the moment, right? Apparently, I don't know anything, but in the moment, I thought that this was not a controversy. I thought it was pretty close, but I mean, we were all in agreement in this room when we were watching it that it was going to go to Ankalaev.
In round 5, the one that's in question there, and it's crazy because 2 judges did give it to Alex Pereira, which I do find kind of wild. I thought it was a shutout, 4 rounds to 1. Pereira takes the first, and then he gets it. Was it the best fight? No. Was it a domination? No. But if you had to score it for someone, I think Ankalaev was the one going forward, the one pressuring, the one trying to get the takedowns, the one controlling up against the fence, the one landing big knees, and certainly the one landing the bigger, more relevant punches and landing more of them. He was ahead on the strike count. But in the 5th round, he landed a couple of good knees. He had some control time. He landed a couple of good right hands. Pereira threw like 1 or 2 shots. I think he had a good jab. But I watched it back last night. I had it Magomed Ankalaev all day long. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey.
And that was going back to watch it after you had heard this kind of stuff as well, right? Yep. So you went into it with the mind of maybe I missed something, right? Maybe I went in, and I agree. I don't think my opinion is going to change on that, dude, because I'm not saying I was rooting for one or the other, but I definitely went into it with kind of thinking Alex was going to remain the champ and he's going to get it done. And then when he didn't, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't on that side, even though I like that guy a lot. I wasn't like, oh no, he got it. And this is from somebody that's like I said, a fan of his. And no, he didn't win that fight.
You know, a lot of people say, oh, what you put the commentary down? I'm probably inviting a lot of criticism here. I watched it the second time, not with the commentary down. The commentators do a fantastic job. So suck it up. Okay. Israel Adesanya, Brian just piped up in the chat there. Israel Adesanya says, let's have a look.
Body kick. Come on. Oh! Fuck. He got out of position. He went for a body kick and pulled back. And as he was coming back, so that's 1-1. He's ready now. He's going to come fired out. He understands it now. Watch this. He understands it now. Watch this. He's winning this round. He won this round. Pereira won. Oh my God! Why'd he pull back? Yeah, he's chilling. He's gonna come back. Is it round 5? He's gonna like be a bat out of hell. It's just gonna clinch him, hold him, and just try and beat him up on the fence. Oh, I like that. Let's go, Chama. Nah, he won this round. Pereira won this round. Wow. 49, 46. What was that? He dropped him. Yeah, won that round too.
Thanks, Brian.
He didn't really do.
Even from the little bits we could see on the TV in Adesanya's room, Ankalaev was the one doing the damage, landing shots, controlling.
And then in control. Yeah, when he's like, no, he got this round. He's in control. And for Izzy, I kind of understand it, right? You've had battles with this guy for years. You're kind of rooting for him to go on and do well. And they've like squashed any beef they might have had. Like that, he wants him to win. So you're watching it through that filter. Sometimes I can see how you would think that. But again, I was kind of hoping that Pereira would win. I picked him on the show last week. I was like, all right, come on. You know, I want to look good when we come in here on Monday, and here we are.
Yeah, Brian, I'm not sure if it's in the notes, but on my Twitter, I shared it. Ankalaev put a little video out of all of us. But yeah, I was going to say regarding Israel's psychology there, and fair play. But it's, let's use you, for example. You've got one of the best ones, Paul. You beat Charles Oliveira, right?
Yeah.
Charles Oliveira goes off, comes this legendary mythical figure in mixed martial arts. Every time he whoops someone's ass, you're sitting there like, well, that's what Charles Oliveira does. Okay.
Yeah, it does. Unless it's me. Unless it's me. You know? Unless it's me. Yeah, I agree. And you're right. And you know what? He's the prime example of every time that he fought since we had fought. And even after it had been a while. You think I'm rooting against Charles, the guy that I want him to go and look excellent. I want people to go, this is one of the best martial artists that we have ever seen. How he could be beaten. Wait, what's that? When was his last loss?
Oh.
It was Paul Felder?
Wow. Hold on. The guy with the most submissions. Oh, here's Ankalaev. Here's Ankalaev posting a bit of shit.
Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev fight.
I gotta go with my steak brother, with Alex Pereira, man.
Alex Pereira, KO. I'm gonna go with TKO, KO.
I'll go Pereira as well.
I'm gonna go with Alex Pereira. I could see it going to decision.
I've got to go Pereira.
Pereira only has one direction, and that's forward. I got Alex, man, all day.
I'm gonna go Alex Pereira too.
I gotta go Alex Pereira via knockout.
I am also going with Alex Pereira.
Ankalaev.
Okay, thanks, Brian. I think Brian might be having some. I know he's in Austin, Texas right now. He's living the life. Young, free, and single Brian McKay cruising Austin. Let me ask you, Brian, the Wi-Fi connection there doesn't seem like it's the best because that was.
I'm more wired in.
Oh, it wasn't an insult. There's no.
No, I know. I just I don't know why that would happen. Maybe it's
we got the gist though. We all picked. We all picked against Goliath. So that's him being like, "Okay, thanks, buddy. We got
but good
you."
for him. That makes the victory even better. I'll be
so
honest.
Much sweeter.
I kind of thought Ankalaev would be the guy to beat him for a long time. But then every time I've said he wouldn't win and he wins, it's like I ain't betting against this guy again.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of us were there. That was my thing. The back of my head, I'm thinking, this guy could present a lot of problems. And I talked to a lot of people and I'm like, you know what? Again, same as you. I'm like, every time I doubt this guy, he goes out and makes me look like an absolute idiot because he knocks somebody out completely cold.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, listen, none of us are perfect human beings. We all need a little help along the way. I've tried therapy over the years and I found it to help me tremendously. I went to see an anger management specialist, talking about things, going through all the situations, really made me look at things a completely different way. And I'm definitely now a much more chilled guy. As I say, we've all got issues, whether it's substance abuse, alcohol issues, anxiety. There's a whole myriad of problems. Fortunately, BetterHelp is here to help. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, and they are serving over 5 million people worldwide. Access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wider range of specialities, and you can easily switch therapists at any time with no extra cost. Now, The best part is the convenience. All you need is a bit of free time. It doesn't matter where you are. You haven't got to drive to the other side of town, find a parking spot, have an awkward wait in a doctor's waiting room. No, it is all done from the comfort and the luxury and the convenience of your phone or your laptop. All you got to do is go to the website to get started. And I suggest it. As I said, they are serving over 5 million people worldwide. Visit BetterHelp.com/believe to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/believe to get 10% off your first month. So, all right, let's have the potential negative conversation, right? Because, you know, a lot of people, he's beating the light heavyweights of his era. The way that he has done it has been spectacular. The people that he has beaten have been very good fighters, of course. Yuri Prochazka is a monster. Khalil Roundtree is really, really good. He's got beautiful kickboxing and Thai boxing. He's getting better. Jamal Hill was a champion, beat Glover Teixeira, and knocked out people like Thiago Santos, Johnny Walker. Maybe this era of light heavyweights isn't the best ever. And that's not a maybe, that's a fact. A few years ago, the 205 division was the glamour division. It ain't anymore. That isn't an insult on Alex Pereira. But what people say is that, oh, yeah, he had easy matchups. Like the former host of this show, Anthony Smith, would say, you know, he would say it all the time, he's getting these tailor-made matchups. Now, and again, I'm not ripping on Pereira. Fair play to him. I saw a video of him with his sons afterwards having some pizza, saying this is all that matters, the important stuff in life. And he's absolutely right. He smashed it. So anyone talking shit, he's laughing and crying over millions and millions of dollars with his children, right? Even if his ex-fiance is talking shit as well. Did you see that one?
No, she too, because Izzy's been having some ex problems too, trying to take him to court for money. Did you see that?
Yeah,
he wanted like half of his money. And he's like, we weren't even married.
Izzy took her for $500,000.
Gotta love
we'll get into we'll talk about that later. No, Pereira's ex-fiance did a video going, oh, Chama, karma. You know, like obviously a jilted ex.
Man.
Yeah, I know. What a bitch.
That's dirty, dude.
It is.
That's dirty. Like, go at him any other way. But after a fight, you know what that guy goes through to get ready for that and to be in those moments. And then just to kick somebody when they're low. What were you saying when he was dominating people? You didn't have anything to say, right? This is let's see.
Oh, go on then.
We have a new light heavyweight champion. No more Chama. So he lost at the International Women's Day. Maybe that's a sign, guys. I don't know.
Thanks,
New
Brian.
Light heavyweight.
On International Women's Day, maybe that's a sign.
Jeez,
I mean,
that girl
he looks like a bit of a psycho.
She's poison right there. That's
yeah, we got to be careful what we say.
Yeah,
no, what I was going to say. So anyone that wants to criticize Pereira's reign, they could say that when he fought Ankalaev, someone his own size, with the wrestling style, he lost. Regardless, he's a winner in life. But what do you think about anyone that has that narrative, Paul?
I mean, I think there's some truth to that, right? There's always ups and downs in divisions where that particular amount of years, there's just a million savages and a ton of contenders lining up. And clearly that's not the case, right? We're kind of going through the roster to find the next guy. And he came from 85 and kind of just swung himself right into the picture and took over, right? And, you know, back when like DC and Jones were both fighting in that division, that would not have happened.
Rashad Evans.
Anthony Rumble Johnson, like a million dudes.
Glover Teixeira in his prime.
Monsters. And I agree that they're kind of searching for some strength and schedule for that division. And it's not to say that these guys aren't amazing fighters, but it's just the level of absolute could be the next champion, where sometimes you look at a division and you're like, holy shit, on any given day, this top 8 to top 10 could be, on a good night, it could just keep changing hands, and you'll see that from time to time. And then usually on top of that division, you'll have a monster that can still beat those guys, like a Jones, like a Habib, who could probably be there for a while if they wanted to. And yeah, I agree that but again, it doesn't matter, dude. You know how hard it is to obtain that belt in any division at that level, and to defend it and to do it in the time span that he also was able to do it, you've got to give a ton of respect for that. And that's why I think we all love him so much. The fact that that dude is willing to defend his belt, I forget what it was, like 3 or 4 times in a span of just over a year or something like that. That's incredible.
He broke records. Ronda Rousey
Yeah.
held the record before. He broke that. And that's a great point, because anyone can talk all the shit they want and say that wasn't the greatest era of light heavyweights. And I agree. It wasn't. But so what? They're the only people that he can beat. But some people might become champion, and then all of a sudden they don't want to fight very frequently. He was willing to put it on the line every other week. He'll take it short notice. He'll fly back from Australia. He'll take it injured. He was willing to do that. So you can't disrespect the man's approach, the balls that he has, the excitement, the performances, all of that stuff. The man is an incredible champion. He's a winner in life. The question is, Paul, immediate rematch in your opinion or no?
Yeah, I think so. And I think so because kind of what we're talking about, right? Where does anybody really like, oh my God, they 100% deserve that shot before he would get that shot? And he did, whether you think they were the strongest competition or not, they are the guys that are in line, and he put them away, and he did it multiple times in a small amount of time. I think he deserves a chance to try to crack that safe again and try to figure that puzzle out, because he didn't have a great night. And I don't think it was because of him, unless he says something was up, but I think it was just because Ankalaev was the better guy that night. But I think after the run that he's had, I think he deserves the next shot. And I kind of want to see what he would do a second time around. Will he be more aggressive? Will he stand his ground a lot more like you talked about? I think there's a lot of things that still could be answered. I don't know if it's going to get the hype that it got this time around, because we were very hyped for that fight. And then it just kind of wasn't really that fight. So I'd still want to see that before I'd see any of the other fights.
Also, you got to think, and this is not making an excuse for Pereira or excusing my incorrect pick. I saw a lot of people talking shit on me online oh, you were wrong in your prediction. It's like, yeah, it's an educated guess, dick.
Yeah, it is. Come on, man.
It's a guess. It's not.
You're either going to look great or you're going to be wrong. I mean, that's
like, you were wrong. This is why I never follow your picks. Well, fuck off.
Then
How about that?
Don't pick against me. Take the opposite of what I say. I feel like my brother does that. My brother asked me who do I think is going to win, and I'm almost positive. I'm going to reach out to him today. I'll bet he bet Ankalaev, because I told him I think Pereira is going to win. They do. My brothers do that to me all the time. They're like, "Oh, my brother's literally a commentator, and half the time he gives me a pick. It's wrong." It's like, I'm good at talking about fighting and figuring things out and doing it myself. Doesn't mean I have a magical ball and can tell you who's going to win. These guys are all elite. More often than not, it can go any way.
Well, we can't bet on fights legally, and nobody involved with the UFC can. But that is why I never bet on fights anyway. One, I'm not a gambler. I'll play a little roulette and blackjack here and there, but I'm not a gambler per se. But I never bet on fights because I know firsthand it doesn't matter. You want to put a load of money on one guy, there's no guarantees in this game. Simple as that. Now, what I was going to say was the strength of schedule, though, Paul, that he was on, was Pereira maybe a little burned out? Perhaps. Maybe that's why he was a little flat, because 5 training camps in a very short space of time, 5 fights, and then all the other distractions that come with being a megastar. Maybe he was burned out. So maybe he comes back better, but that remains to be seen.
That remains to be seen, and that is a damn good point, because I don't care how big of a megastar you are. When you're traveling around and you're going to Australia and you're cornering people and you're training at different gyms and you're hopping on these big international flights, and you've done it time and time again, and then fight weeks and all the things that are involved in that, you do burn out. And I'm not saying, again, same as you, it's not an excuse. I'm not putting it out there for anybody, but you could feel that a little bit. He just felt a little bit not himself in there that night. And I don't know if he was himself and he had more time off, if it had gone any differently, but that was still something to consider and a factor in that. And I think if he has some time off, go chill with your family, man, go Chama it up a little bit, get that Chama back. I think it'd be a much more exciting fight either way. I don't think he would fight like that again if they had a rematch.
he's got to bring back the Chama, though. The thumbnail on this, the title of this thumbnail was "Where was the Chama?" It wasn't there. There was no Chama. Okay.
No.
I will say this, Paul. Blue steel on that thumbnail. Holy shit.
You know,
Come on.
dude. You know, there's a reason that I'm on a hit TV show called Hacks in season 4, right? It's not because I'm an MMA fighter. It's not because, you know, I never got knocked out. It's because I got some sharp blue eyes out there, Michael. That's the only reason.
All right, today's episode is sponsored by Beam, and I am thrilled to introduce Beam Greens, a comprehensive blend for foundational nutrition packed with 14 essential greens. Beam Greens was recently rated the #1 best tasting greens powder by the New York Post. The unique blend contains wheatgrass, chlorella, and kale, plus mushrooms, adaptogens, and antioxidants. It helps to address nutrient gaps and support immune function and overall health. And Beam Greens tastes like a strawberry kiwi dessert, making it possible to actually enjoy getting your daily greens. And let me tell you, getting all of my nutrients in one place has never been as quick or as easy or as convenient or ever tasted as good. It's so easy. I suggest you give it a try. The best part about Beam is that they are offering the listeners up to 40% off. If you are a believer, 40% off when you visit shopbeam.com/believe and use the code BELIEVE at checkout. Get your greens by heading over to shopbeam.com/believe. Enter the code BELIEVE. That's shopbeam.com/believe. Use the code BELIEVE for up to 40% off. I'm going to send this to Brian because I just had to approve some shots today, and I might get sued for doing this, but I don't care because I'm going to show this. I'm going to send you that, Brian. Speaking of which, Paul's hit TV show, he's currently on Hacks on HBO. And here's a little story that people might not realize. The part that Paul's playing, I auditioned for.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I auditioned for that part. I remember, by the way, I saw you scene just in season 1, we were watching it, but then I got sidetracked. And then I was like, shit, I'm doing a podcast with Paul now. I've got to watch Hacks. And we were watching it. We're still on season 1. You know what it's like. We watch a show, then I'm on the road and I'm off again. I was in Australia.
Yeah. Oh, I know, dude.
Yeah. But no, the story is, so my agent rings me up one day. He said, they got this big show coming out. It's going to be on HBO. It's going to be a big show, Mike. They want an MMA fighter that can act. And I've told them, you're the only one. He said, this is a lot. This is done. And he's like, yeah, it films soon, yada, yada, yada. And long story short, Paul Felder got the part, and I couldn't believe, I was like, why didn't I get the part? He said, I don't know. This is crazy, man. And anyway, when we were watching your scene, Rebecca's like, oh my God, because she read the lines for me.
Yeah.
I remember it now.
The dinner scene.
This scene.
Probably the dinner scene. Yeah.
So, and that turned into how many seasons are you on there now, Paul?
We just finished filming season 4.
Jesus Christ.
Season 4. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's still a small part. It's a small part, but it's such a good show. And each time I get to go and do it, they do give me a little something, right? Whether it's just a small scene in this, like for this season, it's a pretty awesome moment. It's only in 1 episode, but it's definitely worth the time to go out there and be a part of that show, especially since it's had so much success, dude. I stumbled into that. And Mike, I'll be honest, I didn't cheat because I had to still audition and send in a tape. But knowing Caitlin Olsen and having done It's Always Sunny, and she plays the wife or the girlfriend in the beginning and then the wife, I had a bit of an inside track on that one. And I think that went my way a little bit, buddy. So apologies.
And I knew that. When I was crying myself to sleep one night, I was like, but hold on, he knows. And I was like, yeah, no. And that's how it is, though. That's how it is in the acting world. Course, it's all relationships. And to be honest, this is what I tell my daughter. She's an aspiring actress. She works very hard. She's studying it at college. She drives up to LA 3-4 times a week. I've told her it's all about relationships. You are trained. I'm not a trained actor. I've done some bits and bats of training and, work with an acting coach when I have a role coming up and stuff. But I'm not an actor. I'm not a thespian. But through the networking and the contacts and basically just being a good person to be around with on set, that takes you a long way.
That takes you a long way, dude. Being easy when you're there and just being chill.
Oh, look at this guy. Zoom in on that,
that
Brian.
hair, bro.
Paul's got blue steel. Well, I've got the real deal.
You've got Viking chic.
Yeah. That's Red Sonja coming out soon. Come on, man. Come on.
That's fun, dude. But you got to admit, too, when you got to put all that shit on all the time and do those things and those long film shoots, like that's you're like, God damn, why did it have to be this? You know what I mean?
I think right now, maybe 99% of the believers are like, what are they talking about? Justin, goddamn, Gaethje was also on the fight card.
Dude, that guy, I have been always a fan of Gaethje, and when I was competing, I always wanted to know what it was like to be in there with him. And then I watched him on Saturday, and I've been watching his YouTube and stuff like that, and seeing some of his training. I knew Gaethje was probably pretty much a freak athlete type guy, but to watch even his warm-ups, Michael, like this dude, instead of doing like the roll back into a back handspring rest, he's doing it off his neck, bro.
It was insane.
He's doing it with just his neck, and it makes you realize, you're like, oh. I was saying to my friend, I'm like, he's that guy. You know how you grow up and there's always that one kid, maybe it was you when you were growing up, but it was not me. That one kid that's no matter what sport you're playing, no matter what you're doing, they're just a freaking freak athlete. That was that kid, whether it was going to be wrestling, football, MMA, whatever he did. He's just, and I'll bet he's so much stronger than he looks because just the way he can do that kind of stuff.
The way that
I was impressed, just so impressed.
I couldn't believe it. Brian's maybe trying to look for the video. It's not a big deal. He's rolling back and off his neck, popping up into the air. Now, sometimes he used his hands to push up, but there was a couple of times where he did it only with his neck. Okay, so he's a freak. Listen, anyone that can jump on top of the cage like that and do a jumping, spinning backflip and land on his feet and nail it every time after
a fight.
Imagine that, because we talk about the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, but the thrill of victory, let's stay on that. You got the thrill of victory. You're in the T-Mobile Arena, 20,000 people. You jump on top of the cage. You are flying through the air. What a feeling. You feel like Superman.
And and that's his style, right? That celebration just 100% matches exactly how Gaethje approaches the fight game and the way he goes out there and performs. And you know what? I know he talked about he wanted to be a little bit more reckless. He wanted to be a little bit more wild. I didn't see that. I saw him being just technical. I think he was going for it more, especially in the pocket. Once he started finding his range, snapping that jab and looking for that right uppercut, man, he is so sharp in the moments that matter. When they collide and shit gets a little hectic, he finds the mark. I mean, Fiziev showed again that dude is elite. And unfortunately, now you look at his record and he's lost his last 3 fights. Now, 2 of them are decisions to Gaethje. And the other one is, what's his name? Gamrot, who's a freak as well.
And it was an injury.
Yeah. Gaethje is just something else, man.
Fiziev's a monster. An absolute monster. He's a tremendous fighter. Awesome guy as well. I love the way that he handled it all week. The pair of them were very respectful. There was no shit talk. There was a bit of fun and games. I love that video. Brian, try and find this one. Have you seen the video in New York? Rafael Fiziev. If you type this in, Brian, it comes up. Rafael Fiziev in New York, person dancing behind him. Have you seen this video?
No, I don't think so.
It's so good. Oh, it must have been after one of his fights. He's in New York and he's just got the camera, like the face camera on him.
Yeah.
And there's someone in the background going, Shakira. And they're clearly on drugs. They've only got like a pair of underpants or something.
In New York?
And Fiziev's just like deadpan, staring at the camera. It is the funniest shit ever. Perfectly timed, Brian. Zoom her in. Shakira. He's from Kazakhstan. What's going on?
What the hell is this city all about?
Yeah. Well, that's New York City, baby.
Oh, anyway, man, walking around New York is a trip. I wanted to live there forever, dude. I wanted to do it so bad. When I was trying to be an actor, I was like, I'm going to live in the city. I'm going to get on the subway every day. I'm going to go to audition. I'm going to do all this. And then as you get a little older, I was like, this is horrible. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I almost want to keep downgrading into less people around me and be in more solitude as I get older. It's the exact opposite of what I thought.
We have the exact same mind frame because I wanted to be in the city. I was raised in a small town, 15,000 people. Then we moved to a little suburban area in Orange County, and it's really quiet, but we're lucky because here we have some nature, we have some nice trails and stuff like that. But we were going to downsize and move to LA. Like, we've got a nice house, I wanted to be in LA. I want to be in the thick of it, amongst it, going to meetings, networking. I'm going to fucking do this. I'm going to do that. I'm working on TV, right?
Yeah.
I'm so glad I never did that. I'm so glad we've still got this house and we're moving. We're going Tennessee. We're going South Carolina, North Carolina. We're going somewhere. We're going to buy a farm. We're going to be out in the middle of nowhere, off the grid, and everyone can go fuck themselves. Okay.
Dude,
and I can't wait.
Agree.
And I'm looking at buildings because I can sell this here. We can get something pretty big with a few acres with outbuildings, a big outbuilding. And I've said this to Anthony, and I'm going to start a little dojo, a little training facility, not to make money, just get some disadvantaged kids in the area, help them out.
There you go.
Mikey B's Youth Club. Let's go.
Give him back, baby.
Correct.
Some new champ's going to come out of there, though, Mike. That's where you get a champ, right? You get a kid that actually is hungry and wants to go there and do that. And then the next thing you know, you got a little Mike Tyson or somebody in your hands, or one of these kids that just like, you didn't have a chance to do it in high school, and then you give them an opportunity, and it's like, God.
And I'll find some little guy in the area that knows how to work a camera. We'll document the whole thing. We'll turn it into a reality TV show. Paul Felder flies in. We're doing live episodes of the podcast.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier for me to fly in too if you were in Carolina as opposed to LA.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, which is the best place to get real money action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. As I said, it's that easy. You just pick up to 2 players, maybe up to 6. You just pick a stat. Will it be more or less than that? PrizePicks is the best way to get in on sports action in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. The app is easy to use. To create a lineup, all you got to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot of up to winning 1,000 times your cash. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. This week's on PrizePicks, I'm looking at the basketball board and selecting Luka Doncic for more than 25 points and Jason Tatum for more than 8 rebounds. Anthony Edwards for more than 25 points. As I say, it's that easy. More or less. 25 points, I'm going to say more. Jaylen Brown for more than 4 assists. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code BELIEVE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. As I say, it's that easy, and that is a great offer. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code BELIEVE to get $50 instantly after you just play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Do you think, does that do anything for Gaethje's career? Ultimately, he wins, he gets paid, he gets back in the win column, shows the world he's still got it. But it was a win over Fiziev on short notice when he'd already beaten him on a full camp.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think it does anything necessarily for the rankings or for maybe putting him a huge step closer to the title. But I think it just cements how awesome and how much we need Justin Gaethje in the UFC. We all want to be champ. If you're fighting, you probably want to be champ, or at least you dream of it, right? Even if it seems out of reach to you, right? You dream of it. Like, that was me. I got pretty damn close. I always wanted to be the champ. Realistically, if things all went right, I could have maybe gotten an opportunity. But ultimately, similar to Gaethje, it's okay to also want to just be a badass fighter and entertain and make money for you and your future family and cement yourself and your legacy. And that is exactly what he's doing. Whether or not he ever holds that belt again, who gives a fuck?
Thank you.
I'd rather watch Justin Gaethje not in a title fight and fight a guy like Fiziev or Dustin Poirier over so many other fights that are for a belt or for people that are reigning champions. Not anything wrong with that, but this guy will always have a place at the table, you know, and he is bonused in every single fight that he has taken part in, some of them being double bonuses. So I think a lot of credit needs to be given to that. And he just did that again. And credit to Fiziev too, because it's the same thing. I think that's a guy that we're going to see a similar thing out of him, where it's like, you're always going to want to see that guy fight. And that's okay.
I'm just going to give that a round of applause, Paul, because
Thanks,
you
dude.
absolutely nailed it.
You know what I mean?
Right. 14 fights in the UFC, I think it is.
Yeah,
14 bonuses.
Come on.
That tells you everything. Because as fighters, and by the way, a lot of people that are on the anti-UFC brigade, oh, they're all begging for 50 Gs. Listen, you'll take the extra fucking 50 Gs. A lot of them get paid really good money, okay?
Yeah.
But if there's an extra 50 Gs and you get the little check, the little tick, the little extra credit for it being the best fight of the night, for it being the knockout of the night, it's a nice feeling. It's an extra pat on the back. It's an extra little stroke of your ego. So they all want that. And for that guy to get that every single time, that tells you everything. And I just want to elaborate on what you said, because I used to say this to Anthony, you know, because he was trying to become a champion and things like that. And I was like, yeah, but that's okay. It's not destined for everybody. And it doesn't mean that you're a lesser person. Okay, for your hopes and dreams, maybe as a fighter, talking about anyone in general. Yeah. You know, but once you come to terms with that, look at the life that you're living. Look at the entertainment that you're giving to people. Justin Gaethje will be remembered as one of the most exciting fighters. So that was the perfect answer,
100%.
because you're right. I was like, does he do anything for his career? And it's like, ultimately, who gives a fuck? He's making a lot of money. That's a fact, right? He's entertaining a ton of people. He's living a free life. He's not getting out of bed and going and being a slave to somebody. He's living life
Doing
how
what
he
he
wants
loves.
to live it, doing what he loves.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing for me about being a professional fighter. I never would have made it. And then, well, I couldn't make it. Other than my job before becoming a fighter, which I kept for 2 years. Other than that, I was fired in every job I had, because I didn't give a fuck about it. Oh, were you?
Bro, I used to.
I was fired in every job apart from the last one.
So many times when I got fired, I remember I'd get fired. I'd be like, thank you. And I was just, oh God, I was trying to basically get fired. But I worked at this restaurant and I was a bartender, and it wasn't like a bar. We had a lot of chocolate drinks. I don't even want to say the name of the place, because who knows? It's still around. But there's a lot of chocolates and lattes, but then like chocolate martinis, and we served food at the bar area too. And I remember one night, it was a Saturday night, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I don't want to work here anymore. I was like doing everything I could to get fired from this place. I had spilled a whole gallon of milk at one point by mistake, and I tried to walk out, and the manager was like, no, please, you got to stay. Please, you got to stay. By the end of the night, I was just pouring myself drinks behind the bar in front of everybody and just drinking drinks and making them for anybody that wanted them. And finally, the lady comes back, and I looked at her and I was like, am I fired? And she's like, you're fired. And I was like, thank you. And I walked out. I left the place. I was the worst employee until I started fighting and training and found something to do that I loved, or acting. Like whenever I had an acting job when I was younger, no problem. Worked my ass off. Yes. Knew the lines, showed up ready to go, loved every second. Got to do a regular job. I'm just not good, man. Same as you.
Because you care, because you want to do that stuff. Like I was talking to Callum, we did like a little mini podcast on my YouTube channel for the members only. By the way, we have a Discord. Callum's starting a Discord for the Believe You Me podcast. So I don't know anything about Discord, but I'm going to get into it. I'm going to figure it out.
I've heard the word.
We've got a Discord, guys. Anyway, no, so Callum, we were talking on this thing that we did, and you know, he's doing his master's degree in business. And I'm like, what do you want to do? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, I feel you, son, because I had no idea. At what point, Paul, did you think, you know what, professional fighting, this might be the one for me?
Yeah, it was weird, man. I never thought it was going to end up being the thing. I'd always done martial arts, right? I was always into that. Never thought I was going to be a pro fighter. One summer, I took an amateur fight because a buddy had taken an amateur fight and I started training. And then I decided I wanted to take one pro fight. That was like my goal. I want to do one pro fight to say that I was a pro fighter just once. And I knocked the guy out in the second round. And then I started doing theater again. That was it. I wanted to do it. I made $800, by the way. That's what I made for that fight. And I did another play. I was doing auditions again. And the following summer, I was like, I'm going to do another one. And I would like do a fight and then do a play and then do a fight. And then finally, when I was like 3 or 4-0, I remember the guy that I was training with at the time, he's like, hey, you can't keep doing plays in between fights, bro. You're never going to make it anywhere. I was like, well, I never really planned on making it anywhere. He's like, I think if you win a few more fights, dude, he's like, I think you can end up getting a fight in the UFC. I was like, are you serious? I was like 3 or 4-0. And he's like, I think if we win 6, 7 fights, the way you're beating these guys, you'll get a shot. And that's when I gave up acting. I gave up trying to act. And I was like, okay, I'll commit to this. I was like not drinking anymore. I was doing, training twice a day and doing like bouncing jobs on the side just so I had some cash and living with my older brother. Thank God he was helping me out. And then I kept winning fights. And the next thing you know, I got the title at Cage Fury. And then that's when I had started probably at 4-0. I think I was like, okay, I can't keep doing one and then being off for 5 months. And the one play I did, by the way, I had to like smoke cigarettes, Mike. So I just get done a professional fight and then I'm on stage, literally like smoking cigarettes, chain smoking. It's hard to balance that life.
Let me ask you, and by the way, that's an incredible story. So essentially, almost by accident, you kind of ended up
I fell into it. Yeah, I fell into it. Because I wanted to be an actor.
It's one of the more unique stories because most fighters are like, I'm tough. I've done a bit of martial arts. I think I can do this. I'll give it a go. You're like, no, I'm acting. I'm doing plays.
And then the crazy thing is,
and I'm just trying to earn a few bucks doing this to support my passion for this theater, darling.
Dude, it's like, and my friends at the time, you can imagine, Mike, right? You've been on sets, you know the Hollywood scene, people. There's obviously some tough guys in the business, but they're not known for their tough guys, right? So my friends, when I started getting into, like, bro, what the fuck is going? Like, are you really trying? Are you crazy? And I'm like, you guys don't understand. Like, I was a tough kid. Like, I did get in the fights. I was scrappy. I was from South Philly. I fell into acting too when I switched high schools as a kid. So when I was a little kid, like, I really had no idea what I was going to do. I had no plans of going to college. I didn't know what I was going to do. So, I mean, you know how it is. We're the kind of guys that just make things work. And luckily for us, we've both been kind of lucky that shit went the right way.
Hey, 100%, 100%. And that's why I asked you that, because obviously we got no guests on this episode. We had 4 guests last week. That was a lot. On these episodes, we get to peel back the curtain a little bit into the life of the one and only Paul Felder. Speaking of somebody that might not know what they want to do, I don't know if you know this, by the way, amongst my many bits and bobs in that cupboard there, I have the Segway Champion of the Year. No, it's true. Somebody mailed it to me because
I know where you're going with this, and that was very
someone
nice.
else that might not know what they want to do. That would be the one and only tarantula Jalin Turner.
Yeah,
you saw it. You saw it coming,
but only because we talked. But then when you bring it up, it's like, I mean, that's award worthy, I would say.
Jesus. Well, I mean, I've still got it. Jalin Turner. All right, so let's talk about this really quick. Barmondes, 2 guys, 6'3", both really good strikers. I've known Jalin a long time. Don't want to repeat myself on the show. I think he's great. I think he's an incredible athlete, a phenomenal talent. He's had a lot of success, but now he finds himself, he's lost 4 out of his last 5. Stuffed the takedown, forced him to his back, threw an elbow, but kind of like left his arm kind of hanging around for a split second, which allowed the triangle. Barmondes secures the leg, so it made it really hard to escape. And the angle on the triangle was absolutely perfect. He gets the win. So fair play to Barmondes. We'll talk about him in a minute. But now Jalin Turner. Brian, I do believe there's a little video, and it's quite heartbreaking to watch this. Let's take a look here.
Following your loss to Ignacio Barmondes. So what went into that decision, and why now? You're so young in your career.
I was already entertaining the thought, retiring after UFC 300. Took a little bit of time off, kept training, just trying to get my mind right. Just focus on like my mental health.
It's okay, take your time.
It's
it's hard, man. Fighting's hard. I've been doing it for 12 years. And, you either got to be all in or not.
You made the decision tonight to retire following your.
Give me your thoughts, Paul.
Well, I think that's his struggle, is his commitment and just the desire. And if that's not there, it makes everything else 1,000 times harder. Makes getting that weight cut, makes making that walk to the cage against somebody like Bahamondes, who is hungry for the game and wants to be the best he can be. And you lose that many fights and things don't go your way. I can see why, even if you're young and still have a ton left, I think he's just got to figure some things out. Maybe if he does that, he might feel differently. And obviously after a loss in the moment, you know how tough that is. And you get interviewed and you're always just thinking, fuck this. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I went through all this and, I get a loss. I get submitted. I don't want to be here anymore. And I talked to somebody the day before the fights, after we made our picks. And I was talking to this person who, I won't say who they are, but they're I'll talk to you afterwards. They know a lot of these guys. They talk to a lot of people. And I was like, who do you think in that fight? And he said, I should think Jalin. But just based on the conversation I had with him recently and where he seems to be in a mental place and just where the training is and jumping all around and flying to Dubai and, maybe he's not necessarily happy there. And that's a big travel. And he's like, I think Bahamondes is going to win. Jalin should win, he said, but I think that's how it's going to go. And my God, based on all of what I'm seeing, whatever that conversation was, he felt that there's a disconnect. And that's not good. It's a dangerous place to be if there's a disconnect.
Is it ever? Because that kind of changes what I was just going to say, because I've known Jalin, for a while, not super close, but he's helped me train for a few fights. And whenever I see him, we talk and text here and there. So we're not like, boys or whatever, but, we definitely know each other. And I've always been an admirer and a supporter. And I know his story. He comes from a tough part of California, man, where money is extremely tight, certainly no privileged lifestyle growing up out in San Bernardino and places like that. Didn't have a punch bag. He would use an old couch as a punch bag and watch videos of Anderson Silva as a child and replicate his movements on YouTube and stuff.
Crazy.
And then he makes his way to the UFC. And I thought, this is going to be one of the greatest stories ever. What I was going to say, and I kind of changed it based upon what you said there, is that sometimes I think fighters, and you'll know what I mean when I say this, I think some fighters they fall victim to wanting it too much. You know what I mean? They obsess over it so much and they make it their entire identity. Yeah, you've got to want it. Yeah, you got to be single-minded. Yeah, you got to be selfish. But you
got to shut off. You've got to shut off a little bit.
And then when they don't get the results, they can't fucking deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I feel like Sean Brady, who we had on the show not too long ago, he was a bit like that for a long time. And I think after he finally lost, like he got that 0 off his record, I think finally he realized that there's other things, like his life isn't shattered to pieces because he took an L in the cage to one of the best guys in the world. Like it's destined to happen to you. And you need to start focusing on what other things can you be happy about when you're not in training. Yeah, sure, you can think about your opponent. You can be dedicated, but my God, you're right. If you just, all you can think about is fighting this guy in a couple of months, you're just going to lose your goddamn mind. Like you need to have fun and shut it off. And I don't mean go party or do anything, but there's got to be something in your life, whether it's your kids, your wife, a girlfriend, video games. I don't care what it is, but you're right. You can't obsess over it. Or you'll lose it.
It's maybe kind of contradictory to some of the things I've said in the past, because you've got to be super disciplined.
Well, you got to live it. You're right. When you're doing it, you got to be in it.
You've got to live it. but you fight for a better life.
Yeah.
Not so that it is your life. And, you got to find a separation. And it's a fine line of being dedicated and being disciplined and showing up on time and doing the fucking work. But also, you got to be able to compartmentalize a little bit and separate it and be like, okay, I'm going to try and win. I'm going to do everything I can. And it's like, again, talking about power slap, one of the power slap contestants, and I really liked the answer what he gave me. He was trying to become a professional footballer, and he played for a few teams. I know nothing about football, so I can't even remember the few teams, but he had a good little run,
Right.
And then all of a sudden, they stopped calling. And he was done, and no one was calling him. His agent wasn't calling him, and that was it. And now here he is. He's competing in power slap and trying to make a few bucks. And I said, wow, that must have been really hard for you. And he said, no, it wasn't. I said, why? He said, because I did everything I could. I trained my ass off. I know I gave it my best, and my best wasn't good enough. So therefore, I'm at peace with that. And I thought, you know what? I fucking respect that answer so much.
Yeah, because a lot of guys don't do everything, right? And then you always have something to be disappointed about or worried about. But if like, I left no stone unturned, as they say, and I did the training and I tried to get the right teams to do, you can live with that. And, something you said a second ago, which I think is so important, and I think is why a lot of guys struggle. And I think it's just as difficult as winning a fight is finding this. And it's your why. Why are you doing it? And a lot of people give wacky answers or this or that, or it's cut and clear. It seems pretty clear for you, the why. And you just said it, the better life, your kids, your wife, you wanted the house. You were literally willing to go and lose parts of your body potentially, as long as it built up to that. And that was the same for me. I had a little girl as soon as I got signed to the UFC. I came from a rough neighborhood. My parents didn't have, it was the same thing. It was easy for me to want to get geared up for a fight. And I think some of these guys get into this sport and they love sports, but you're in a fight business. There's got to be something extra that you're in there for. And if it's just because you want to be the best and compete, I think that gets you pretty far. But when you start getting to the nitty gritty with the real badasses, what's separating you? And I think some people struggle with, like, why are you really doing this? If it's for money and it's for a lot of money, then that might be enough.
All right, so I guess that's most of the UFC 313 stuff. We have a new champion and we have a new co-host who's here every single goddamn week. Paul, what's on your mind? You've seen the notes. Oh, I love this thing that you do as well.
Yeah,
maybe we'll stick that on the merch. Paul just doing a karate chop or something.
Come on, I feel like Van Damme on a movie poster.
Oh shit! Oh, we've got someone here at the house right now. So if you can hear the dog barking, we have.
You're lucky my dog's not barking up there. He doesn't bark. He's just a hound. So it's just.
What kind of dog is it?
He's a blue tick coonhound.
A what hound?
A blue tick coonhound. This is official title. He's a big floppy eared black with like white speckles all over him. He's actually a sharp looking dog, but he is a pain in the ass.
What's his name?
Cash.
Oh, I like it. Like Cash Patel, the director of the FBI.
Named after him. Exactly.
Oh,
yes. No, he had his name before, and I think he was named after Johnny Cash because he's all in black. And
that's
he's
very
a cool looking hound dog, but a pain in the ass, like I said.
My dog was going off just then because we've had it for a long time, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but we had to finally get this dealt with. Okay, cockroaches. A lot of cockroaches in the house, man. And Callum, his girlfriend, was just staying here at the house. And like Rebecca was like, this is ridiculous. Because we had someone out one time initially, and they wanted to empty everything out the house. And then we had to sign up to a monthly program. It was a 2-year contract and all this type of stuff. I'm like, fuck that. No way. It's a few cockroaches. We'll put some traps down and we'll do this and we'll do that. Anyway, we're finally taking the plunge, and the cockroach guy is here.
They used to I remember when I was a kid, they'd come by the exterminator and he'd have this like metal tank and he would just spray this shit into like the corners of the basement and like behind the fridge. And I don't know. There was no evacuating the house. He just came in. I mean, that was probably poisoning all of us, and we didn't know it at the time. But yeah,
everything's poisoning you if you listen to things online these days. It's because I live in Southern California. They take the piss with everything. Just real quick, we're going to get some MMA news in just a second, or some stories, and Paul's got a good non-MMA for us. We had our house renovated in 2016. And one of the things we had done, like anything we get done, they charge so much money. One of the things we had done, we had the kitchen painted. And it was a lovely kitchen, like a really nice carvings. It's a big kitchen. Rebecca loved it. And like dickheads, we had it painted over. And they did a bad job, and all the paint is chipping off. Yeah. So she wants the paint removed, which essentially means it all needs sanding back, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's a monster of a job. And we've been trying to recruit someone or hire someone to do it. We spoke to some guy called the sanding expert yesterday. He wouldn't even take it on. I said, why is that? He said, it's too time consuming. He said, if you don't want new cabinets, he said, to sand it back, I'll have to send like a team of guys around. They'll be in your house for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's going to cost you a fortune. So I said, you know what? We've got our own team. We've got 2 young adults, Callum and Ellie. They're at college. They need money. Between the 4 of us, Operation Sandblast is going down. And that's going to be our life now. That's going to be our life. Fucking sanding back a kitchen full of cockroaches.
Bro, waking up and just knowing like, fuck, I got to go sand the kitchen again today. That's just, you're going to hate it. Oh, God. Sanding is horrible.
We have half a wall that she started with recently. That took us about 3 weeks. Because like,
my God.
Yeah, multiple layers
part of the wall.
Paint.
I'll tell you what, though. There's a movie you should watch. And
okay, please.
It's a similar motion where you gotta wax on, or for you gotta sand on, sand off. I mean,
sand on, sand.
You're gonna have a really good outside block by the end of your time doing. Yeah, there you go.
How much did you love Karate Kid as a kid?
Oh, I loved it. But you know what? I loved all the old, like the Chinese kung fu movies and like old Jackie Chan stuff. I loved all the stunts and all that kind of stuff too. Like Rumble in the Bronx was one of the movies that got me into martial arts for sure. When he beats those dudes up in like the grocery store in the alleyway and all that shit, I was hooked.
What was that one called? He was the fat one. Was it Chow Yun Fat or something like that? No, it wasn't. That's somebody else. But he is a Hong Kong actor. But there was a short little fat one that did like old kung fu movies from China, and he was hilarious. He had like floppy hair.
Yeah,
you ever saw that? I can't remember.
I saw all of them back in the day. Yeah. I saw them all, and I used to drive my parents and my brothers crazy because if we went to Blockbuster or something, I was not allowed to pick out a movie because I wasn't picking whatever was out that new that week. I was picking some old ass, dubbed over kung fu movie that nobody wanted to watch.
Enter the Dragon is one of the best ever, though.
Yeah.
And it is so ahead of their time. I've said this 50 times. The man's wearing, Bruce Lee, the man's wearing MMA shorts. He's got MMA gloves on, and he arm bars the guy.
Yeah.
And that was in 1979.
Yeah. He was thinking about it then. Yeah, he was thinking about it then. What would it really be like to really fight with any way you could win a fight? And they took him from us on purpose because of that. Here you go.
That's not the dude I don't think. No, it's not. But I appreciate the effort, though, Brian. No. Don't apologize. We're going to go from movies to Paul's World, triathlon, or races, or competing, running, and fighting as well.
Track. Yeah. The story that jumped out to me when I watched the clip, the relay race where they carry the baton basically back and forth. And this girl gets frustrated and just smashes her upside the head, like legit. Watch this. She already cracked her. Yeah,
let's
look at it. That's not an accident either. Like, I know you're swinging your arms when you're sprinting. That's no accident. She gave the old over the top.
Have you ever held one of those batons? How heavy are they?
I can't imagine
they're very heavy.
I think they're really light, but I think that I don't know if it's like an aluminum or if it's a plastic. I'm not really sure. If it's aluminum, that would sting at least. You know what I mean? I think even if it's plastic, if somebody smacks you over the head with like a broom handle, it's not going to devastate you or knock you out, but you're going to be like, God damn, what did you just do?
But if they were to hit you with an aluminium one,
an aluminium, yes.
yeah.
Or you can the one British, she's like a cooking show lady, and she's got this very like sensual voice, and she talks in her British accent, and she said microwave instead of microwave.
She doesn't say microwave.
She
Hold
dead
on.
serious says microwave.
Nigella Lawson.
Yes.
Those batons are made out of aluminum.
So that stings, dude. That doesn't feel good.
I said to my wife recently, because we were watching Nigella after eating a meal from out of the microwave, and I said, she tries to sound sexy all the time.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't. That's just the way she talks. Rebecca's like, she's always defending women. Like she feels, she says this all the time. She feels sorry for Laura Sanko. Not feel sorry for her, but she gets a lot of unwanted attention, you know, being a good looking girl. And it's not her fault. It's just that guys have dirty minds, because there's always people on Twitter saying shit and stuff like that. People have even sent her and my wife like DMs saying, did you see them getting, go on, Brian, play this. Let's have a look.
But I still need a bit of milk, full fat, which I've warmed in the microwave.
I told you, dude. I told you. Microwave.
Yeah, no. But it's for, I still want a bit of milk. Full fat.
In the microwave. Yeah, me and my wife joke about her all the time. She'll call it the mix. She'll be like, don't you mean the microwave? And I'm like,
microwave. Staying on sports real quick. Here's another one that Harrington put in the notes before he decided to leave us, and he's disappeared out of the country. But he did some notes for us, so that was nice of him. LeBron James pulled up on Stephen A. Smith to curse him out on ESPN over coverage of his son. Now, I'm not a big basketball fan, but I am aware that LeBron James's son plays for the LA Lakers, and I've heard that apparently he doesn't deserve to be there. Do you have an opinion on that? But anyway, here's LeBron having a go at Stephen A. I mean, we can't really hear it. But Brian, if you go to the next video, and I thought this was really good, Stephen A. Smith came back and he responded on his show on ESPN. Have you heard this narrative though, that LeBron's son doesn't deserve to be there?
No, I mean, I'm the same as you. I don't know much about basketball at all, unfortunately.
Yeah. Some of the things that he heard me say, and he confronted me about it. For the record, his agent and friend, Rich Paul, has my number. Maverick Carter, who works under him, has my number. LeBron James knows how to get in contact with me if he wanted to. He never called, because had he called and wanted to talk to me, I would have accepted that call. Had he wanted to see me, I would have flown out and I would have seen him and I would have had a conversation man to man. But that is not what he elected to do. Instead, he elected to confront me while I was sitting courtside. Ari Emanuel, the head of William Morris Endeavor, one of the agencies that represents me, along with Larry David, was sitting courtside. I was with them for the game. And he walked right up to me and he said what he had to say.
All right. So if we just lost anyone there, basically, LeBron James confronts Stephen A. Smith, because I don't know what the commentary was, but obviously he's been saying some things that he took exception to, didn't like it, maybe criticizing his son's ability on the basketball court. Stephen A. Smith is trying to defend himself. Do you know what I say? I say fair play to fucking LeBron James.
Yeah, he doesn't have to call him or anything like that. If he's right there and that's how he wants to deal with it. And if he's talking about your son, I mean, your dad, you're gonna feel a certain type of way, and you're gonna kind of defend your own. You know what I mean? It's not like he punched him; just said some words.
He's a big, strong, angry guy, though, getting in his face and screaming.
I mean, yeah, but at least he didn't get confrontational in that regard, because that would have been a one-sided street, I think.
What was your dad like, Paul? He's not around these days, correct?
No, he's gone, but he wasn't very confrontational. My dad was actually the quiet one. My mom, which I've told stories about on here before, is the one that would be the hothead in the situation. My dad was kind of the quiet guy that kind of kept to his own until you got to know him a lot more, and then he would open up a lot more. But he wasn't necessarily he hated the fact that I fought. Like he really had to battle back even watching those fights. But then after a while, he got used to it. But yeah, it wasn't easy for him to deal with that. I mean, he would get into a scrap when he was young if he had to, but he definitely wasn't the guy that was going around talking shit. He was a pretty chill, head down, hard worker type guy.
Well, my dad was definitely the opposite to your father. My mom was similar to your mother. And then that's why you get this. Okay.
Yeah.
So, think about that, parents. Let's talk about some MMA, though. So, Illia Topuria says that there's got a big announcement coming soon that's going to shock the world. He's gone up to 155. Dana was asked, is it about a fight? And Dana said, yeah, probably. Probably. Yeah, I mean, he's fights in the UFC.
I would hope that it's a UFC fight, and not. I don't know. Maybe what if it's this boxing stuff that's going on that Dana's starting, and there's like a big boxing fight that he's doing instead? Is there any possibility of that?
Well, Dana said that he's done with that stuff. By the way, the MMA guy is going to the boxing world, as you mentioned. He is getting into the boxing side of things with Turkey Al Sheikh.
What he wants to do is just straight boxing, right? He wants to
straight boxing.
Be the next, yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think I mean, listen, say what you want. Call me a company man. Call me a bootlicker. I think it's fair to say that Dana White's the most successful promoter that's ever lived on planet Earth, okay? And him getting into the boxing world, I think is fantastic. There's a lot of people out there saying, oh, God, this is crazy. The fighters are going to get ripped off. It's like, well, hold on a minute. No one's got a fucking gun to the head. They're only going to sign with this promotion if it works out well for them.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people give shit to the UFC and to Dana and stuff, but look at these other companies that promised a lot of these things, and now they're collapsing, and they're not even able to give their fighters a fight. You know what I mean? Like you can make big, huge payday promises and say you're going to pay this and pay that, and these guys, they don't. At least the UFC, you are in charge pretty much of how much you're going to make at a certain point, because yeah, your contracts are all similar. We all get in with basically the same contract unless you're coming in from another organization and you can kind of skip that queue and get a better deal. Most of us, you fight on that first deal, you show what you can get, and you get another deal. And if you got good management and you're putting on good fights, you'll start to make real money. And at least you've got a company where you know that if you're winning, there's a place to fight and you're going to have fights. And they guarantee you that they will at least offer you a certain amount of fights per year. Whether you take them or you don't, it's up to you, but you're at least guaranteed to be offered a certain amount of fights in a calendar year. I mean, there's other companies that they can't do that. They can't do that.
No, you're absolutely right. Nobody wants to sit here and hear me repeat myself because, I've said for years, I mean, I don't know what Pereira makes. If we listen to the internet, it's $9.6 million per fight. He's doing pretty well. Okay,
yeah,
there's tons of people in the UFC that do really well. And by the way, in the boxing world, and I've said this, so I'll keep it short, there is the earners that earn astronomical paydays. Your Tyson
and the
Fury,
other guys make shit.
Canelo Alvarez's, but there's only a few people.
Yeah.
And then the majority of the others are making jack shit.
Jack shit.
I'll say this. I don't mind sharing it. I remember negotiating my purse with Dana for when I fought George St. Pierre. And I was asking for a certain figure, and it was a large figure. And I made a comparison to the boxing world. And Dana had a really good line for me. He said, oh, really? You want to use the boxing model now, Mike? He said, you have fought for me for about 12 years. You've never been a champion once. However, you've made a shitload of money. If you were in the boxing world, you would have made jack shit by now. And he's absolutely right. Unless you're a champion, unless you have a massive draw, you don't get shit. You lose one fight, you're down the road. Yep. I'd lost a bunch of fights along the way as well. And I think that's one of the things that is going to change. Of course, Turkey Al Sheikh being involved, and the man's got endless pockets. Have you heard about this event that he's doing in Times Square?
No.
Dude, listen to this. It must be amazing to just have this
fuck you money.
crazy.
Yeah.
But this is fuck you money. It's like saying fuck you to everyone that says fuck you. It's like, no, I will see that fuck you money and raise you suck my dick money. Okay.
Well, that's big
He's
money.
renting out Times Square, not Madison Square Garden, Times Square, the public area. He's putting on 3 blockbuster boxing fights. I think Devin Haney's on there. I think Ryan Garcia's on there. And there's another one as well, giving them some matchups where they're just going to knock their opponent out easy. And they're billing it. It's going to be the most watched boxing event of all time. And he's doing it just for shits and giggles.
It's so insane, man. Can you imagine just waking up and you're like, you almost have to start just making up new shit, right? When you've got that kind of money, you're like, all right, just getting on my yacht today and doing whatever I want's not gonna do it today. Gonna rent out Times Square. That's what I'll do today. How much? Sorry, that's too much money. You'd never be able to do it. Yeah, no, I'm the guy. I can do that. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I don't care. But you're not gonna make any money out of it. I don't care. And this is what you got to respect about this guy, because I don't think he's making money with these endeavors. He's probably losing a tremendous amount of money, paying Tyson Fury and Usyk hundreds of millions between them.
He's having a great time.
Renting out time. Yeah, exactly. He loves the sport of boxing. So he's trying to build the sport of boxing. I know there's an element of trying to help the tourism in Saudi Arabia. Well, renting out Times Square doesn't help Saudi Arabia. It elevates the sport of boxing, and then getting Dana involved. Don't know the ins and outs of it all, but if I'm a boxer, if I'm a young up and comer, this is only a good thing.
Yeah, because you've already got an example of what he's capable of, especially when you bring in, the Turkey and all the backings that comes with Saudi Arabia. You know that they can put on a show that's going to succeed, that's going to have the best production, that's going to look the best. They're going to get treated the best too. Like, we know from working on the inside and who you got to deal with, it's going to be the same people or at least similar hirings going on in that. And these people just know how to do the damn job. They know how to make it look good. He knows how to promote the shit out of it. And if you're a top guy, you're going to get paid.
Yeah. Well, otherwise they're not going to attract any top talent.
Exactly.
No boxer is going to sign that deal if it doesn't make
Square
all the sense. Yeah, but Times Square. How much do you think that is?
I couldn't even gather a guess. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of money. Like,
Brian, just Google that if you can find such a number. That's a random Google.
Are we talking like $1 billion to do something like that? Are we talking like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions?
So, like, some of the most valued advertising space
is right there
in a street. That's Times Square. All those billboards probably cost hundreds of thousands, if not $500,000 to $1 million, maybe more per year, you know, or even to have access for like a month might be $100,000 or something. I don't know. I'm plucking figures out of fresh air. To rent the entire thing, they're saying probably the biggest
and traffic. Just think about what you have to do just to shut down that area and the support that you need to have from the police and security and the businesses that are all there and up and running, and the companies that own those things and have rights to whatever is advertised on it. It's
and the people singing it, Rafael Fiziev, Shakira, when he just come out of Madison Square Garden. You know
what? I say just hand him a ring card and just let him go to work. He'll find his way. He'll find his way.
He would be the perfect guy. I'm going to say 20 million. No
way.
50 million.
The internet thinks I'm stupid for asking the question, to be honest. It's just telling me like, no, this is how much it costs to rent billboard space, or this is how much like office space is. Nobody has a figure on how much.
It's not even a thing because it's not a real figure. Even New York, when he must have presented it, they're like, I don't even know how to tell you that we're going to do this. Like, I don't even know where to start. And he's probably like, it doesn't matter.
They're like, you can't. It's the city. It's like, yes, I want to own it for a night.
Just a small period of time.
Yeah. Hey, fair play. I mean, that guy. Hey, listen, if you've got that kind of money, if you're born into that astronomical wealth, that's the type of shit you got to do.
Yeah.
You know, why not?
The counter to that would be like, there are starving people in the world, and here we are renting out Times Square. But he also, I'm sure, does other things too. This is just the fun projects that you hear about. You know, a lot of these
I'm
guys
sure there's lots
throwing
of
money around all over the place.
I'm sure there's lots of philanthropic things, endeavors that he's involved with.
You must have to do some of that, right? If you're going to then go and rent out Times Square, like you got to balance it out a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to get some backlash.
CNN are going to come for you. You know what I mean?
You know it. Yeah. Seattle's
doing some
for
good,
you, baby. Seattle's coming on.
Okay, so we got some news. Obviously, Topuria says that he's got big news coming soon. If you had to guess who the opponent was, I'm just looking at the lightweight rankings. I mean, Justin Gaethje just got to win, but it's not that, I doubt. Although I would like to see that Justin Gaethje, Illia Topuria, holy shit.
And that just lines up again to what we were already saying about Gaethje. It just gives him another opportunity. But that one, however, he's got to look at that and, this guy wants to come up. He's knocked out these legends down at featherweight. He wants to be the champ at 155. If I go and beat him, there is stock there for him to gain. And for Topuria, if it's not for the belt, I think he makes great sense because it's the baddest other dude that's not the champion right now that people are, in shock and all of. You go and beat him, okay, you get the shot.
Well, because Islam and Habib and anyone with their team associated to them, they've all said no. He needs to win one fight before he challenges for the belt. I think he might just end up fighting straight for the belt. I can't think of anybody there when I look at them. Oliveira's seen it. Gaethje, we've seen it. Poirier, we've seen it. Sarukian, we almost had it, and then that happened. It's kind of lost a little bit. Now we're getting down to Dan Hooker, Michael Chandler, Mateusz Gamrot. Yeah. And Bilal's fighting Jack Della Maddalena. Yeah. And he ain't going up to 185 and fighting Drickers because Drickers will just step on his head, as he said about Bilal. I'm calling
I think it might be do you think it's the title fight?
That's it.
It's got to be to say something like that because, I mean, listen, it has to be that because any other fight, I'm like, okay, this isn't all you just made it out to be in that post, right? Like, wait till you see this announcement. I'm fighting Charles Oliveira. It's like, oh, that's an awesome fight. But that doesn't warrant you posting something like that. The only thing that really warrants him saying something like that and kind of leaving you on edge like that would be Islam. That's the only fight that I'm like, oh, fuck, it's happening. Like, we're doing this.
Or an Oliveira or a Gaethje, to be honest.
They're fun, but I still think I would too. But I think the way he's alluding, to me, it feels like he's alluding to he's going to get it.
Did you see, I was in Vegas. I didn't see it. Did you see any of the 314 press conference?
Little tiny bits of it, but not much, no.
I saw some clips. See if you can find
I saw the one where Volkanovski was singing and making kind of just poking fun at Diego Lopez, and that was hilarious.
Yeah, Diego Lopez kind of laughed with it. Oh, by the way.
Oh, it's great.
Next Monday, the guests are back. Just one. We might get a second. We're not going to overflood with guests, but the former champ, potential new champ, Volkanovski, is joining the show.
That's a good guest, dude. I'm going to make him sing. You heard it here. I'm making Volkanovski bust out some emo music for us, and I might have some requests.
We had Chandler Chandler and Paddy Pimblett. They were on there. But the clip that I want Brian to look for, see if you can find it. Bryce Mitchell and the Lord Assassin, Jean Silva. And I forget what he says. That's actually why I want to see it, Brian. And at the end of the clip, and it's going to be hard to Google, harder than how much does it cost to rent out Times Square? At the end of it, Bryce Mitchell, I think he says, I think you just signed your death warrant or something like that because John Silver's talking mad shit and he pulls out the globe. And they're going on about the flat earth. What was the line? Do you not know? No. Oh, here we go. Brian, right on cue.
Strengtheneth me. I don't believe in myself. I believe in the power of Christ that lives within my heart. You have the Lord on your chest. I have the Lord within my heart. We'll see who wins. Deals. I can do.
Yeah, wasn't the one, but thank you, Brad. It gave us a little taste of it. I mean, Bryce is fired up. That Jean Silva's on fire. What do you think about that matchup in general, but just the hype?
I mean, it's turning into even more of excitement for me than I initially thought. When I saw, and listen, Bryce said all those crazy things. I don't condone or agree with that. But the fact that I'm seeing him in this position and not seem to be crumbling, but in fact, like jazzed up and jacked to go and try to choke this dude out, I like it. Because Jean Silva, I don't need to see any more from him. I know what he's bringing to the table, and I love it. But the fact that Bryce isn't he's not thinking of himself 1 second as a sacrificial lamb for this guy. Like he's crazy. He is crazy.
Oh,
you can see it in those eyes, man, that he's, I don't know.
Well,
I think he's going to put up more of a fight than we think.
The clip that I'm talking about, and I wish I put it in the notes or something, at the end, he's fucking seething. Jean Silva's doing something, he's chanting whatever, he's got a globe in his hands and stuff, and you can see the look on Bryce Mitchell's face. And I'm telling you, if he was alone and he could get away with it, he would have murdered him right there.
I agree.
He was so mad. Oh, let's have a look. Take 2, Bry.
And Jesus said,
Hey.
remember,
Bryce
if the world hates you,
Bryce Mitchell.
they hated
No, this is it.
Fuck Bryce.
This is it.
greater than his master.
Fuck Bryce Mitchell.
And the crowd all joins in.
Mitchell. Fuck Bryce Mitchell. Hey, brother. Fuck Bryce Mitchell.
Today.
Oh, the clip cut the bit off. There was a bit at the end.
He just goes there and it's like you're barking up the wrong tree, motherfucker, or something like that.
Yeah, that was it.
Says something like that.
Yeah, no, that was it. He just stops. He just goes, "Y'all barking up the wrong tree, motherfucker."
Yeah, in his Arkansas accent. Yeah,
But like, imagine if you're Bryce sitting there, who's been in the UFC for a long time, and of course, what he said recently, idiotic, absolutely dumb. I just think I don't think he's a Nazi or anything like that, right? He just went down this crazy fucking rabbit hole on the internet and just came to some really, really dumb conclusion. Anyway, whatever. To sit there in front of the people that you've worked so hard for years for to build a following, and this newcomer that's only been around 2 minutes, has got the entire crowd chanting, fuck Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah.
Fuck Paul Felder. Imagine that.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Paul Felder. How would you feel?
I'd feel exactly what you saw right there in that clip where the eyes just get a little crazy, you get a little quiet with it, and it's like, oh, I'm going to show you. That's what he's got going on in him, and I like it. It makes for it's going to be an insane fight as long as it lasts, because let's be honest, it's going to go one way or the other. Bryce is either going to get knocked out really bad, in my opinion, or he's going to find a way to get the dog out of him and somehow grind this guy around on the ground and look for a sub at some point. But either way, the build-up's going to be entertaining.
I just need to remind myself, what was his last fight, Bryce? Hold on. There it is. Kron Gracie. Oh, yeah, the big knockout. Then he got knocked out against Josh Emmett, beat Dan Ige, lost to Illia Topuria. There's no shame in those 2 losses there. Far from it. So
hard hitters.
Don't sleep on Bryce.
Don't sleep.
Don't sleep on Bryce.
Don't sleep or you go to sleep.
Well, Cash Patel wants to hire Justin Gage. Should we just, what do you think? Justin Gage wants to help out the FBI, or should we wrap this one up, do some questions and get about our days, see our wives? What do you think about Cash Patel, the head of the FBI, saying that he wants to form an alliance with the UFC to train the FBI?
I think it's funny, and I think it's fun for the UFC guys that would be involved. But I think, I was talking to a friend about this, and they were joking with me. They're like, "Are you still going to be able to commentate, or are you now working for the FBI officially?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then they told me the situation. I think it's got to be careful, because cage fighters are violent, but we fight within a rule set, and we fight within MMA rules and for combat. Like you can't teach the same things to an FBI agent or a soldier that's going to be in potential conflict with weapons and things. Like, we don't train that same way. You'd be better off having the guys that are special forces vets who have some jiu-jitsu training to kind of break that down for them, in my opinion. I think it's fun though, and it's obviously just to kind of get more eyeballs and more support from the people than anything.
It is. It is an interesting one because, kind of in a similar vein, Andrew Tate, his brother Tristan Tate, was tweeting about kind of a similar thing. He said, like, these security guards, like Vladimir Putin's security guard, he would destroy Tom Aspinall. I think this is what I saw on Twitter. And they were like, this guy isn't training MMA. He's training kill techniques each and every single day. And he might have a point, but I still think Tom Aspinall, whoever this is, would take him out in a fair fist fight, a one-on-one. Speaking of which, Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, they were in Vegas at the weekend. They were at Power Slap. They were at the UFC. Yeah. They were causing quite a stir, man. I'm telling you, they were getting a lot of attention.
Oh, I'm sure. Those guys, I mean, they go out and they make statements. Let's just put it that way. They're not afraid to speak their mind whatsoever. But I agree with you on that. The special forces guy in a dark alley somewhere where he can utilize anything he needs to do to secure that the victim is taken out maybe beats Tom Aspinall. But in a cage fight where there are rules and we're not fighting with a broken bottle that we found behind a dumpster and kicking you in the balls and then, shanking you and cutting your throat, it's two different worlds.
No weapons at all. You still think that? No weapons?
No. In a scenario where it's open and there's just hand to hand, no, I think Tom wins. But I'm saying if it's like, in a club where he's got to make a hit and he ends up in a bathroom where he can smash him over the sink and sneak up on him and be dirt, like that's what these guys are trained to do, to just take you out. They're not trained to square up and have a dust up.
That's my favorite kind of fight right there. Just
in the bathroom,
rolling with the punches, grabbing the ashtray. To the tools you've got at your convenience.
There's some amazing videos online of some bathroom brawls, by the way, when shit goes down and guys don't realize they're dealing with some dudes that actually know how to scrap. And they're like smaller guys facing off against bigger guys. And then the little guys, they'll get in on that single and like smash them into a urinal. And it's like, oh, fuck, man.
UFC London. I'm seeing my brother Conrad's coming down. He's 6'6". He had a pickaxe stuck in his head in the army a long time ago. So like he can't work. He has a guide dog. He's pretty much blind and many other problems. But he's awesome. And I haven't seen him for a long time, but just bathroom brawls. It wasn't even in a bathroom, but we'll finish the episode on this. We've been out, we were drinking. We'll do a question, of course. We'd been out, we'd been drinking. He went to the bathroom, and I didn't know this, but he went to the bathroom and threw up everywhere. And then he comes back and sits down, and then just a doorman just grab hold of him from behind, like get him in a headlock and stuff. So I'm like, what the hell? And I jump up. I'm like, get off him, yada, yada, yada. So then they pick me up. And all these doormen, they were big dudes, and there was a lot of them. They pick up me and my brother, and we're not small guys. They carry us vertically outside the bar, like kick us out the fire exit, throw us into a puddle, and then just tap dance on our heads, loads of them, right? So, and then they shut the doors. And I'm like, fuck this, comrade. And I run round the front, and the biggest, ugliest wise, boom, cracked him right in the head. His nose exploded, and then he just fell over. And then the police pulled up, and we legged it. And I don't know why we got arrested, we got in trouble, but that was a night out with my brother, and that all happened about him throwing up in a bathroom. Nothing to do with anything we just talked about. But that was.
I gotta tell one more then, if we're doing.
Go on then, let's go. Hold on. Just for any official people, that was in the 90s, okay?
Yeah,
in the 90s.
This is more recent. So I'm in Vegas. My brother Tommy is with me for a Contender Series fight. He gets to go. It's the Brazil one, though, Michael. The random Brazil one that I had to call. We did like all of them in a row. I didn't even know how to pronounce half their names. We got the information last minute. Anyway, my arm is still in like a cast from when I broke it from the Mike Perry fight. We're in the bar at Palm, the center bar with the shark and all that kind of thing up there. It's after the show. So there's some of the Brazilian people. They're all drinking, and long story short, something is said. My brother makes a smart ass comment. They say something back. The next thing, I'm trying to get a drink at the bar. I turn around and he's scuffling with these dudes that were from like a team. They were from somebody's team that was on that show. And I turn around and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Next thing I know, they're squaring up with me. I still got like a broken arm thing. I end up double legging this one dude, getting on top
in
of
the
him,
palms.
At the center bar on top. The other guy's trying to rip me off. I'm like punching this dude.
Whilst commentating the contender. Love it.
These dudes pull me off. They take me to the side and they're like, yo, go to your room right now. If you guys come back down, you're going to jail. I know who you are. I know what's going on. I saw what went down. Get the fuck out of here. And we were like, we're done.
Yeah.
We went to bed, left on a flight the next day. Anyway, sorry. That was
there you go.
That was my story.
That was a couple of little stories to end the show on. Always a pleasure, Paul, of course. If you've got a question, please send it in to bympod@gmail.com. Hopefully next week, Harrington's back. I think he's abandoned us, Paul. Brian will be back home as well. He's in Austin. Alexander Volkanovski will be here. I've got Diego Lopez lined up as well. But would that be weird getting them on the same episode? Would that be disrespectful?
I don't know if it's disrespectful. As long as they know, you know what I mean? I feel like you'd let them know, like, hey, by the way, we're going to take a moment with both of you guys. I think that's fine.
I don't mean to bring them both on at the same time, but I mean, like, for half of the episode to be, hey, buddy up with him. And then the next half of the episode, buddy up with the opponent.
It might be it might be harder for us than anything, right? Yeah. We're going to go from one guy to the other being all nice and trying to be supportive of what they're going through and understanding, and then turn around and be like, yeah, I mean, fuck Volkanovski, am I right?
Exactly. Am I right? Oh, shit. All right, well, look, listen, we're going to do questions next week, so if you have them, no. All right, well, listen, we have taken up enough of your time, Paul. Thank you for yours. If you have a question, send it in to bympod@gmail.com. That is the website. Send it in. We'll answer the questions. See you next week.